This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.
Well, you know him as a founding member of Stone Temple Pilots. They are on tour now, coming to the Paramount Theater in Huntington. Halloween night, October 31st. All the tour dates, stonetemplepilots.com. Always great to speak to him for a number of reasons, but also because he was born in my hometown of Montclair, New Jersey. It is Dean DeLeo, who has a new project out now called Trip the Witch, mostly instrumental. And, you know, Dean, I listened to this whole album. Congratulations, man. Really, really beautiful album. You made this with a new acquaintance who you have never actually met in person, Tom Bukovac, who was in Nashville while you were in LA. And, you know, it's really incredible what you can do remotely with technology these days. And I guess you made good use of your downtime during the pandemic.
We're doing it right now, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
We're doing it right now. And you know what's interesting? My daughter is in the next room. She's out in her little workstation. She's in class right now via Zoom.
Oh, so have you had to become a teacher as well as a parent over the last couple of years?
You know, I am very easily stumped by third grade mathematics and history and things. So my wife kind of tends to that.
So you got away with that one. That's good.
Yeah.
But talk about working with Tom. You guys really hit it off, obviously.
Oh my goodness. Yes. We were introduced via an email, and I immediately called him, and we just, as you said, we just really hit it off, man.
And but you knew about him because he has like a YouTube channel or something. He has something, right?
Yeah, you know, Tom has been in Nashville for about 28 years now. He's probably played on most of the records in your collection. He's, I'm going to tell you, man, in my humble opinion, I think he's the finest musician and guitar player I've ever heard. He just plays exactly what I wish I could play. He plays exactly what I wish I could play, and he plays exactly what I want to hear. And man, we just hit it off beautifully, like we know each other for 100 years. And we, over the course of the last 8 months, we made this record.
Well, the way you're describing him, he sounds like the kind of guitar player that, you know, and I'm thinking of people, say, like Mike Campbell of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and say The Edge of U2. They don't overplay, they don't underplay, they just play what's right and at the right time.
Yeah. And Tom is very well capable of playing anything. And if you are a guitar player out there and you are not watching Tom's YouTube thing, it's called Homeschooling, and you really want to kind of learn some new things and new chords and just new licks. I mean, it's really, really something to check out, and you'll fall in love with them as I did.
Were the ideas for these songs sort of like unfinished thoughts that you had sort of collected over the years, kicking around, or is everything brand new from your collaboration with Tom?
No, I would say everything was brand new other than one. There was one lick that I had kicking around for a little bit on the chorus anyway. It was a song called We Lived Here. I had that chorus thing kind of kicking around a little bit, but everything was pretty freshly stewed.
Well, that's great when you meet somebody like that and you get inspired like that to take you into a different direction, right?
Man, I witnessed this within my own band, within STP, and surely with Tom and the musicians that were coming in and playing on this record. You're only as good as those around you. And all these cats make me sound really good, man.
Well, I want to get to this really incredible story involving Jon Anderson and the track he is on. But all the other tracks pretty much instrumental. But the guitar melody lines, and you sort of touched on this briefly before, the guitar melody lines are really very memorable, and that they are almost like vocal, like the melody lines.
You know what? Thank you so much for noticing that, because that is something we really set out to do. We didn't want a lot of soloing per se. We wanted the guitar lines to be actual melodies, as if you were hearing a voice. So hearing that from you, it's exactly what we set out to do. Thank you.
And just listening to this whole album from Trip the Witch, it sounds like a movie soundtrack. It's very visual, these tracks, you know?
It is. It's very cinematic, very cinematic.
And the great Jon Anderson of Yes sings on the track, Saturn, We Miss You. Now, how did that happen? I mean, when you heard Jon Anderson's voice next to your music, I mean, what did you feel like, man?
You know, man, it brought me to tears. I was so, well, first of all, there are still bits of Yes records that I hear, and I hear Jon, there's a section in Heart of the Sunrise, there's a section of And You and I that still gives me goosebumps and still wells up my eyes with tears, still to this day, man, and I'll tell you, when I got that track back from Jon, immediately tears came down my cheeks, man. I was
God, and his voice is still there. I mean, it's still right on.
Well, I think Jon's 76 now, 73 or 76, but he surely still sounds like he did in 76.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing song. Where did the name Trip the Witch come from?
So Trip the Witch is a line and a chorus of a song that Scott and I wrote back in 1995 or so. It's a song off the Tiny Music record called Ride the Cliche. And Scott sings Trip the Witch and Ride the Shame. And I always loved that line. I was like, Trip the Witch, it's so ambiguous. Is her name Trip? Or are we actually literally gonna? It was just, I loved it, and I always wanted to use it. Thank you, Mr. Weiland.
Yeah, it reminds me of, Tripping the Light Fantastic, Trip the Light Fandango, Procol Harum, but we're talking about Trip the Witch. It's a new project from Dean DeLeo.
I'm going to tell you a funny story.
Go ahead.
I went to, I had just finished mixing the track with Jon on it, Saturn, We Miss You, and I was at the studio, and I have a dear friend that lives close to me, dear friend Steve, and he's a drummer, great drummer. And I said, hey man, I want to stop by and play you something. I had not told anybody what had happened at this point. And I stopped by his house, and the song kind of plays for nearly a minute before this beautiful angelic voice comes in. It really goes on for a minute. So I put on the song, and the great Ian Fitchuck is on drums, and boy, does he lay down a groove on that track. And so Steve's listening to the track, and he's like, oh my gosh, wow, that drum sounds, that snare, that groove, wow. And a minute goes by, and the vocal comes in, he goes, can you stop that a minute? He just goes, can you stop that a minute? I saw him, he goes, is that Jon Anderson? I said, that's Jon Anderson, man.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be so much fun. Dean DeLeo with us from Stone Temple Pilots, his new project, a little side project called Trip the Witch, and the Stone Temple Pilots are coming to the Paramount in Huntington Halloween night, October 31st. Dean, that reminds me, I saw Stone Temple Pilots at Roseland here in the city when you came out dressed as Kiss.
You were there.
I was there. You were there. But was that Halloween? It had to be like the 90s. I don't know if was that Halloween night?
No, I don't think it was Halloween. We were on the road for a long, long time. We were touring Core, and we were on the road at that point for I think about 10 months. And just out of sheer boredom and monotony, I said, I'm going out as Ace Frehley tonight. And everybody goes, let's all go out, man. So we got the one-piece leotards, which nowadays I don't know I'd be so secure getting in one. But back then
yes, being in your 20s, right? It's so great. Fantastic. Speaking of which, you have done 2 Stone Temple Pilots albums with Jeff Gutt on lead vocals, so I guess things are working out.
Yeah. Things are working out beautifully with Jeff, man. He brings a lot to the table.
Any plans for new recording? I know you guys are touring, but
We were just talking about this recently. We just may. I think in the new year we might go out and do some stuff. But I think just around the new year we might go out. We might cut some new things. I think so.
Dean DeLeo, Stone Temple Pilots, is with us. His new side project, really, really cool, called Trip the Witch. Go out and get it. It's fantastic. And of course, Stone Temple Pilots are coming to the Paramount Theater in Huntington Halloween night. You can get your tickets now, and we'll be giving more tickets away, obviously. Dean, so great to speak with you. So great to see you.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you on the East Coast at the end of the month. And always a pleasure. Congrats on this album, man.
Thank you.
I'm going to put this next to my, now listen, don't get embarrassed or anything. I'm going to put this next to Jeff Beck, Blow by Blow, Jeff Beck, Wired, those kinds of things, because it's so up there with those guys, man. I'm telling you.
You're making my heart melt, Jonathan. I appreciate that, man. That's very kind. Thank you.
This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.